So for those of you who are still with us, I just wanted to let you know. So when we get the breakout session going, you all will be brought in one at a time. And then once those are finished, we will move forward.
Thank you.
So if you would just stay with us, and I appreciate your time and thank you for joining us. And it looks like we have Mr. Appleby. Hi, Mr. Appleby. And it looks like we also have Miss Vivian McCrae. Is that you?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm glad you all could join us. Thank you for being with us and thank you for your patience. Like I said, we'll be with you all shortly if you'll just stay on the line with us. And again, we will bring you in one at a time. And you all can mute yourselves if you'd like. Miss Barber, it looks like you will be next on our list. So I don't know exactly when they'll be finished, but Miss Barber is up next. Ms. McCray, are you on the line with us? Can you verify you're here, Ms. McCray?
Yes, I'm on the line.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
It looks like Miss Catherine Cook is up next. So just so you know, Miss Cook, you are up next. They're not quite ready for you, but they'll pull you in when they're ready.
Hey, this is Allison. Is everyone in executive session?
Yes, they are. I'll have someone pull you into the session. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Ms. McCray, they are interviewing Ms. Catherine Cook now, but Ms. McCray, you are next in line. Ms. McCray, you are next in line. Mr. McCray, it looks like they just took Mr. Appleby, it looks like they just took Ms. McCray back, so you would be next on the list. So again, you are next on the list. They'll take a while to interview Ms. McCray, and then you will be next.
Well, Ms. Only, I got Paul Livingston and it says we're in executive session on the left side of my screen now. Now I don't. Okay, we've got everyone back from the committee and we've been joined by a cast of many from staff. So we interviewed the applicants for the boards, committees, and commission as listed in our agenda under number 4. And now we're back to discuss the notification of appointments. And Ms. Only, I don't know if you can give me some answers here on some of the questions I have before we do that. Under Hospitality Tax Committee, the first, oh wait, let's just go to the appointments. Central Midlands Council of Government. It says that there are 5 vacancies. And we have now interviewed 6 people. So that completes, it says we're to appoint out of those 6, correct?
If I may, I'll answer for Ms. Only if you don't mind.
She was in the meeting doing it there. You're right, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was having some technology issues today. Yes, so I believe that, yes, you can. We have interviewed all of the applicants that have submitted applications for that particular one.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments they'd like to make right now? More motions, or are we gonna do them one at a time?
Sure,
I've got
Mr.
a-
Chair.
Who's that? Ms. Barron, go ahead.
It's Miss Mackey. We were
Oh,
speaking at the
Mackey.
same time.
Oh. Go ahead,
No,
Ms.
I was gonna go ahead and make the motions. I don't know if someone had a discussion point before I did so.
Yeah, my only comment was on Ms. McCray, who we interviewed today. When asked if she was familiar with the duties, she said no. And that, well, maybe she tried to find them. I don't think she put in the effort to do it. And some of the other folks we have here, I don't know. Go ahead and make your motion. Let's see what you
Okay. I'd like to make the motion to appoint candidates D, E, and F.
Was that B as in Bravo?
No, D as in dog,
Okay, D, E,
E,
and F.
elephant, and F as in frog.
Okay.
You got to get that phonetic alphabet together.
Yeah, we have a motion to appoint candidates D, E, and F. Is there a second?
Friendly amendment, sir.
All right, friendly, well, we
Can I
need a second
get a
first.
second
I'll
first?
second
Need a
it.
second.
I'll second it. All right, now a friendly amendment. Go ahead, Ms. Barron.
I'd like to add C to that one.
The maker of the motion accept that friendly amendment.
No.
No. All right. Well, then at this point, what we have before us is a motion and we'll come back after this and we can do another one.
Yes.
So
Okay.
what we have is a motion and a second to approve D, E, and F. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Mathis, if you would call the vote, please.
Okay, this is for the motion to accept Delta Echo Frank. That's D, E, and F. That's Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, that's 3. Are there any other motions on this item, Ms. Barron?
I'll try it this way. I'd like to make a motion to approve candidate C as in Charlie.
I'll second that for discussion. All right, I'll recognize myself here for the discussion. I would like to make a friendly amendment to your motion, Ms. Barron, and that would be to appoint candidate C and re-advertise the remaining 2 positions. actually it would be one position. Because we're appointing 4 out of 5.
I'll accept that, sir.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second to appoint candidate C and re-advertise for the last remaining position. Any additional discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Mathis?
I'll just call the roll. Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, that takes care of 5, number 5A. Next, we have 5B, the East Richland Public Service Commission. It shows 2 vacancies and 3 applicants. Now, Ms. Cook was correct when she said about that, what was it?
Arcadia Lakes.
Arcadia, I was gonna say that, yeah, Arcadia Lakes needing to have an appointee on the board. But what I would like to know, because there are, I think there are 5 member districts in that particular, on that committee. It's not written down what they are, but we need to make sure that we're not appointing somebody. There's only 5 members. And they, it says they have to reside in the territory and must have at least 1 commissioner residing in the town of Forest Acres and Arcadia Lakes. So doing that, I want to make sure that we don't have everybody from Arcadia Lakes there.
Right.
Can the
On
clerk?
the, sorry, I was gonna say on the spreadsheet, I mean, it says Ms. Cook is from Arcadia Lakes and the other 2 are from Forest Acres.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't looking at that. I was just looking at the agenda. Thanks, Ms. Mackey. That will do it then. But we have 2 from the same district there in Mr. Curtis and Mr. Kosowski, because they actually live on the same street, I think it was.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I would entertain a motion. You can either do them 1 at a time or 2 together on 5B.
I'll take a stab. I'll start with just the 1. So I think we're a little more, we're certain about the 1. And so I'll make a motion to approve C as in Charlie.
Okay, we got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second to appoint C under letter B. Any discussion? Hearing none, if you would call for the vote, please, Ms. Mathis?
Certainly. Malinowski,
Yes?
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, now we've got 1 more out of the 2 that are remaining.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint candidate B as in boy.
Okay, we have a motion to appoint candidate B. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Let me go back and look at my notes here before we vote on that one. Let's see, 47 and 49 with the interviews. As I looked at these candidates before the meeting, and we don't have to discuss it. It's just my opinion that candidate A, I thought, had more to offer, but we'll just go ahead and call the vote, Ms. Mathis. This is for candidate B under the East Richland Public Service Commission.
Okay. Malinowski,
No?
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, so that motion passes, so that's our 2, B and C. Third one to do on appointments is C, 5C. And we have 5 vacancies. that we've only done 2 interviews, correct, Ms. Mathis?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. We also need to know on this one. I'm trying to, there were some requirements, I thought, with this one, weren't there? Or
Yes,
was it-
sir. Yes, sir. I believe there were some requirements. I believe that this is one that we could only, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is one where the city also appoints, so we could only appoint from the unincorporated section, which is why we only have 2.
Right, and I guess both these applicants are from there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So question for, there, a question for you. Do we
Yeah,
have,
Mr. Horatio? Mr. Horatio, you're recognized? Or didn't you want your hand up? Or are you still on mute? You're on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was on.
Okay, go ahead.
Now that we're through the, correct,
We're through what? You're breaking up.
with the, have we completed the appointments portion of our agenda?
No, we're on 5C, the last one, which is the Transportation
Okay.
Advisory Committee.
Okay, great. I will wait for you all to complete that part then. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I did have a question. Do we have any more applicants waiting to be interviewed for this committee?
So again, we had several applicants, but we had 1, 2, 3. We had 5 applicants, but 3 of those applicants were from the city of Columbia. And so they would not be eligible. So we only had 2 from the unincorporated Richland County. And so those are the 2, and you have already interviewed both of those 2 from unincorporated Columbia. Does that answer your question?
It
I think
does.
It does, okay. Mr. Horatio, you have another question or?
Yes, thank you. Sorry to be a pain here at the end of the meeting. So in terms of Transportation Penny, those projects are sprinkled throughout the entire county, including within the city of Columbia. And I know that the city does get to appoint someone, but there are plenty of projects that affect citizens in the districts that represent in-town districts, in Columbia districts. So, for this one, I know I'm not a voting member on this committee, but I would support, at least having a look at some of those people. They may have some very strong qualifications to bring to the table.
Mr. Horatio, thank you for that input. And you're right, they may, and they would have to show those strong qualifications to the city of Columbia by applying through them. That is the purpose, the way this entire committee was set up, that there's representation by several of the different agencies, different municipalities, so that everyone has a fair and equal amount of representation. And as was mentioned by our legal department, when you begin to take individuals that are appointed by one municipality, if you start appointing them also from the unincorporated area, you are giving an unfair advantage to another group or municipality. It's no longer equal. So that is the reason. And our clerks have been asked to please advise anybody that applies in such a situation where another entity appoints also, to ask those people to please take their application to the proper municipality.
And Mr. Malinowski, I think that we've also asked the clerk to share those applications with the City of Columbia's clerk as well. So they're going right over to the City of Columbia from us.
We did, thank you, you're right. When it comes to the 2 applicants that we have here, we're talking about Transportation Penny Advisory Committee, which is one of the largest amounts of money that someone has to hopefully watch and make decisions on. And when one individual was asked about if they were, while in their application, they said that they felt that they would serve the board and the mission of the board well. And the question came out, can you tell us what the mission is of that board? And the answer was, I'm not familiar with the mission. With an answer like that, I don't know that we want to appoint individuals like that. Neither one of the two that applied to me have any of the qualifications that I think should be represented on the actual Penny Advisory Committee. And for that reason, if someone wants to make a motion to appoint either or both of them, you're welcome to do so. If not, I would make another motion that asks to re-advertise these along with the others.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I guess I would like to make a comment. I do agree with your statement. I would like to say that at least one of the applicants did, I believe, have a very good interview, and as we discussed, had applied for several other commissions or committees that I think, we all thought they would maybe be better qualified for some of the others they applied for. So I do think that is something to consider, that even though it's not this one, I think there were some good qualifications for other committees.
You are right. I agree with you. There was the one individual that did have qualifications that would have been better suited for another committee. And so, yeah, I see the one you're talking about here.
Mhm.
So I think we need to ask the clerk's office to get with that individual or make sure that individual's name. We did kind of ask for priorities on which they would like. And the TPAC committee was actually, they made application for 3 committees, and the TPAC was the third choice out of the 3.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that person have their application be put in for the number 1 and 2 positions that they have there. And one of them still is to be voted on by us, and that's HTAX. So there's a chance for them to be seated right there. Okay,
Make a motion to re-advertise the 5 vacancies for the Transportation Penny Advisory Committee.
okay, we've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All right, any additional discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Mathis, please call the vote.
Certainly, Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, the next order of business that we have is number 6A, B, and C under items for action. A has to do with the boards, committees, and commissions recruitment. We're slowly moving through that with all of these interviews. Ms. Mathis, can you let us know what some of the next, I don't want to say more important, but the next more pressing needs are on these committees?
Yes, sir. I have a plan in place. The next several that I plan to set up interviews for, in particular on our next meeting, would be for the library, for Richland County Memorial Hospital, the board there, and then for the Board of Zoning.
Okay,
Those are the 3 in particular, and also the grievance committee. Those are the ones that I think we should probably take an interest in those next.
all right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
I guess, can the clerk explain all the color codings for 53, for the table for 53 through, I believe this is 56?
Yeah, because there's
'Cause
different colors. in it.
There's different colors, but there's no key
No
or legend
codes.
to explain the colors.
Certainly. So I'm assuming that you're looking at the applications.
Pages 53 through 56 in the agenda.
I'm sorry, hold on. I need to pull that up. So just give me one moment. I apologize, I don't have this quite up yet. I was actually looking at the,
Hey, you guys, since you last saw me, we had 4 fire drills. We've been walking up and down the steps in the hall. If it goes off again, I'm sitting right here.
Didn't want that extra workout, huh?
I know, right? But I got it.
Ms. Mathis, are you there? Not yet?
yeah, I'm sorry, I'm here. It's not loading. I apologize. I'm trying to
Okay.
get the agenda.
While you're trying to do that, if no one objects, I will go back to Ms. Teresa. I believe she had some comments she wanted to make once we finish the appointment process. Ms. Teresa, are you still there with her? Go ahead, Ms. Teresa, unmute and tell us what you want.
Thank you. I don't know why I can't get myself off mute today. So my question was about, and I think that Ms. Mathis spoke to this, but I was in transition and didn't quite get it clearly. My question is about whether or not we have kind of a list of upcoming appointments. So, you know, who we're going to see next, who kind of people are asking me about their appointments, and I'd like to say, okay, well, you're sort of next in line to have interviews. Is there, do we have a list like that, or can we have a list like that?
Well, Ms. Mathis just advised us that she is planning on giving us interviewees for these next 4 groups, and it'd be the library, the hospital board, the Board of Zoning, and the Grievance Committee.
Okay, great. Yes, I think I did miss that part, or kind of half heard that part. Okay, and that will be in 2 weeks will that be at the meeting on the 22nd?
So the next meeting, I apologize, I'm sorry.
No, go, yeah, the next meeting is the 15th, I believe, right, Ms. Mathis?
That's correct, yes. And
So-
I'm ready whenever you're ready.
Yeah, and so we will, you know, I don't know how many applicants we have, but that's the order it looks like we're going to be doing them in. And so we'll slowly start interviewing applicants from those 4 committees.
Okay, great. That's very helpful. I'm sure the library will be happy to know that they've got someone on deck.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Ms. Mathis.
All right, so I am looking now at our color coding, and so the appointments spreadsheet is what you're looking at there, beginning on page 53. Green means that they have already been interviewed, and then in the interviewed section, you'll see that there's a date. Some of these you will see have been crossed out, and they are crossed out for various reasons. The orange in particular means that they are incorporated, either Columbia or Forest Acres or some other entity. The blue means that they are unincorporated, which means they are a viable candidate for the ones where we are also appointing to. Some of them, of course, you know, the city appoints and then we appoint. So if they are in blue, they are unincorporated. In other words, they don't belong to a municipality.
Great.
Does that make sense?
Yep, that's fine. And I guess the yellow means they've been X'd off the market here because everything in yellow has been struck through.
Exactly. Yellow, yellow means that they are uneligible or ineligible to serve on that board.
Okay.
And then what is the peach or pink means appointed?
Yes, ma'am. That means that they have been appointed, and that is something that I started because I didn't want to take them off of the spreadsheet, just because this is sort of the way that we're keeping track of everything. So the peach means that they have been appointed, and then under the interviewed column, you'll see where it says appointed and then the date that they were appointed.
Any other questions, Ms. Mackey, on that?
Just to let you all know, you'll also see like a little yellow section that says LM and then a date. That stands for left message and the date that I contacted them. That's I meant to take that out before we posted this, so I apologize. Those are notes for me.
Okay. Well, it's probably good. We can see you made an attempt anyway.
So I know you gave the list for the next meeting. Do we have any other schedule past that?
And explain what you mean by scheduled.
So have you ranked or prioritized the commissions that are remaining or boards that are remaining? So I heard you say, okay, the next meeting I propose we do these 4. After that, have you already identified the 4 after those? Like, is there a running list? And I just asked that because that could probably answer Mr. Ratio's question, several people's question. If you've already identified your full list, I think that'd be good just to share it, and then everybody kind of knows where we're going.
So I have not ranked them past that because I had a list ready, but then things sort of changed. Our ranking sort of changed. And so, no, I do not have past that. I know I have heard from the music festival people. They have reached out to me. I've had several organizations that have reached out to me, but in particular, the ones that I have identified are the ones that I think that have reached out to me most often. And again, so the way that I do it is when I hear from an organization, I look at how many applications we have versus how many vacancies we have and the particular need for that particular area. And when the last time, how many vacancies they have and how long those vacancies have been out there. So that's how that ranking, that's my sort of how I pick the next person, the next entity, if you will. And if you all have if you would like for me to look in particular at other ones, I think that I'm more than open to any suggestions that the council would have.
Well, Mr. Chair, I'm going to let Ms. Barron ask her question, and then I'll
Okay.
follow up with that.
Ms. Barron, go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is that today we interviewed for the hospitality tax. And then I noticed that in the upcoming meetings, we are not interviewing again for the hospitality tax. Is there a reason why we aren't continuing to interview for that committee so that we can go ahead and check that one as well?
Well, in particular, I have reached out to Ms. Williams several times and I have not heard back from her. And we just today have heard from Ms. Cyrus, and Ms. Davis has already been interviewed. So other than Ms. Williams, Ms. Cyrus, and Ms. Davis, there are no other applicants for the Hospitality Tax Committee.
So
Okay.
to that point, we could possibly have a conversation about the two interviews that we've already had.
Yes, ma'am, if you'd like to.
Yeah, if that would have been helpful to have seen that group also be transferred to the list that we just discussed.
So with the understanding that in the past, we have given applicants 2 opportunities.
Okay.
So I believe that this would have been her second opportunity today.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
is it appropriate to make a motion to appoint for the Hospitality Tax Committee?
That's where I
No,
was going.
It's not on our agenda. We'd have to go back and redo everything. Then we have to redo it at council. And I would just add that I know that I made the comment previously. And that is that there is somewhat of a priority order in some of these boards, commissions, and committees. For example, the ones we were doing today with the COG, the Council on Governments. We need to have people there. That's a group that's meeting on a regular monthly basis. The hospital board also is, and so does the library. Grievance committee only meets when they have a grievance, but we need to have that in place. Hospitality tax, really, their job is done for the year. They're not going to be discussing or having to discuss anything until the fall and early and winter of the year when it's budget time again. So there's not a real hurry to get those people on board at this point in time, just to have them sit around have their term start and spend 8 months of the term just waiting for their next meeting.
Well, I guess, Mr. Chair, I understand that for hospitality, but I also think, the applicant there's only one, and they've been contacted twice. We've actually interviewed this applicant already for another committee. And so it appears that we just have this sitting out here instead of taking action on it. And that's my only thing is if there's something we can go ahead and wrap up and we've interviewed everybody, let's go ahead and wrap it up and check it off the list and not have it hanging out here, even though they, like you said, don't meet to the fall. Well, we already interviewed them. So we put them up high on the list. Let's go ahead and act on it instead of, dragging this out. So I would like to suggest that we at least put that on the next agenda.
And I'm fine with that. Ms. Mathis, if you would make sure that the notification of appointments for HTAX is on the next agenda. And because it has been sort of dragging out, as Ms. Mackey points out, let's make sure that is our first notification of appointment, please.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So I guess my other, question or concern under item 6A, we have the spreadsheet, we understand the colors, you've stated, our next 4 appointments, our next interviews, committee interviews for appointments. I guess past that, I feel like we're lacking an overall plan to get through what we have and then re-advertise, because we just went through and said for the COG, for instance, we didn't appoint all of those, right? So we know we need to re-advertise. And so big picture, what do we have an overall plan to get through the interviews that we have? And when are we going to re-advertise again so that we can do this before the end of the year?
And you're right. The instructions from the committee were that we wanted to see as many of these interviews done and as many of these people appointed and these vacancies filled in so we can get back on a normal schedule and not have to be spending all this time constantly interviewing people because we've somehow gotten behind in the past on it. So I think that we cannot do the re-advertising until it's taken to council with our report, and council approves to appoint whoever and re-advertise the others. And I think when we do get down to re-advertising, I'd like the clerk's office to re-advertise it immediately, however it is that they do it, not wait till others take place, but whatever the process is for advertising, we need to have that done so that we can then get these people back in, interviewed, and fill these vacancies, because they're obviously vacancies that need to be filled because they're already here. So we don't want to wait. You're right. So is there anything else, Ms. Mathis? You understand that, I guess.
Thanks.
So
You're muted.
yes, can you hear me now? Sorry, I kept clicking on it, but it wouldn't come off. So yes, sir, I understand. I feel like you're saying there is a lack of a plan, but I feel like we do have a plan. And since, we've started this process, we've appointed for several of these out here. So I do feel like we're making forward progress. And like I said, I feel like when we are moving forward in this pace, I do feel like we are making progress. So if there is a way, or if there is something that I'm not doing, let me know. I'll be more than happy to accommodate. But as I said, I feel like we do have a plan in place. We are moving forward, and I'm doing what you all have asked.
Okay,
So-
let me add this, and then Ms. Barron, I see your hand up there. To Ms. Mackey's point, we have however many color-coded items there were in front of us to down these boards, committees, and commissions in 53 through whatever. There are all the vacancies that exist. It was my understanding that the plan would be not just to tell us who the next 4 groups are, but that if we've got 10 groups, that we have a pecking order for all 10, so we know. So as Ms. Teresi was asking, I applied for the Board of Assessment and Appeals or whatever it is. We can say, okay, well, you're 8th in order to be interviewed. And so that's why I believe what Ms. Mackey's asking is, can't we take all the vacancies that we currently have and put them in an order so anybody can look at it and say, oh, that's when they're going to be interviewing for those vacancies. Is that right, Ms. Mackey?
That is correct. So basically an overall plan
Right.
for all available vacancies. And so if you were looking at this, all the commissions that you have and looking at the available times that this committee would meet, you should be able to develop a plan that states between here and the end of August, we're going to interview for these committees. This is the order. And by this date, we will have gotten through all of these people, and then we will re-advertise again so that we can move on to the rules that we need to discuss. So that's what an overall plan would look like.
Right. Then we're up to date, and then we just have to interview for the vacancies as they come about.
Mhm.
All right, Ms. Barron.
Yes, and so totally on board with the overall plan. I think that's something we need. So as we talk about the overall plan, Mr. Malinowski, you brought the point that we need to be interviewing those organizations or those committees who are currently meeting ongoing. So with that, I would like to ask Ms. Mathis to update the list of the people that we are slated to interview for our upcoming meeting, to omit the grievance committee and to add someone else that we will be that is meeting ongoing, as well as to be mindful that we did say that we wanted to have a minimum of individuals that we can interview. And if that means going further on our list to include another committee, then let's do that so that we can definitely maximize our time, because I think this committee is ready to continue to appoint, but more importantly, we're ready to move on to other business. And we're committed. We're committed to interviewing at least 10 people. So with that, we would like to see those people on the agenda, even if it means, juggling some organizations around. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Ms. Mathis, you have that then? What the committee would like to have?
Yes, but with the caveat that I've asked, I think that when I sent out the email, my directive was between 6 and 7, and that's what I gave today.
That's correct. We're not disputing that. We're just asking that we go beyond, that we lay out a complete plan for all boards, committees, and commissions that have vacancies. And you've said, okay, the next ones up are library, hospitality, board of zoning, and grievance. Everyone wants to know what comes after that. What makes up the complete list of vacancies in the order that we're going to do? That's what the committee's asking.
Yes, sir. And I think that I understand that. I guess my concern is when we have applicants like today who don't show up for their appointments and we give them an additional time, that moves our time frame back. For every interview that doesn't happen, I can schedule 10 interviews, but if they don't show up, then that moves the list to the next list and and it moves further down. And so I can give you an estimate. I can, but I don't think that it should not be written in stone simply because they move back.
No, it's not.
You're
You're right. We're not asking for written in stone. We're just asking for an overall list of the order of when interviews will come up. We're not even asking for a date or when it will be, just the complete order of who gets interviewed when.
Okay.
Which group gets interviewed next and next and next and next. That's what the committee would like to see, until all committees are covered and in that list. And we understand that there may be some finagling and moving around because of no shows or situations that come about that are out of our control. Anything else on this item? All right, so if we can get that list so that all council members can know also in order, because we may not even have applicants for some, and that needs to be put on the list, that the XYZ committee has vacancies, but there are no applicants. So that's why they're at the bottom of the list until we get someone. Let's move on to 6B, where we had boards, committees, and commissions, the descriptions and duties. A few meetings ago, I know I made a comment about some of the information that was listed in these committee descriptions. Yet I see the blue that's been put in here initially for additional information that was obtained by your office, Ms. Mathis, but I don't see where any other changes came about based on some of the comments that I made and maybe some of the other committee members made. And I know one of the big things was that with some exceptions, there are qualifications, but on other boards, it's not really a qualification. It is like preferences. Individuals, we prefer to have individuals that have this, this, and this, but it's not a qualification because there are very few of our boards, committees, and commissions that have a qualification. And so we need to make sure that is listed that way for anybody that looks at these items. There were also some other comments that I made in there. I could go back and pull it up from that meeting. I don't have it in front of me for this meeting, but I think we need to get completed a good set of requirements or preferred experience for these different boards, committees, and commissions. Where there are qualifications, we need that. One thing that we need to have, and I noticed on, I think our Transportation Penny Advisory Committee on page 73 of our agenda. That's the one I said, it's a huge committee as far as it's a committee that deals with responsibilities for a huge amount of money that this county is taking in. And the only thing we have for TPAC is Richland County Council appoints 7 members with staggered term dates, 3 3-year terms, 3 4-year terms, 1 5-year term. We don't have anything else. I would like you to please reach out to our transportation director and ask him to have someone create what is preferred for that committee. I thought initially when this committee was created, we had some preferences, such as had to be somebody that maybe knew something about transportation, knew something about finances. So I'd like you to reach out to that individual and see if we can get a little more than basically what the member, how many members and what their terms are. Does anyone else have any other comments on 6B right now that we're discussing?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Karen.
And so I will not repeat anything that you've already stated, but I did go back and pull some from my notes from previous meetings. And one of the things that we did say that we wanted consistency in the descriptions so that we see the same information in each description. And naming, some of the format is, and it's in most of them, but we want it to be uniformed. And so the number of members, terms, a brief overview of the actual committee or council, and then the duties or duties. I think I saw duties, qualifications, preferences, and we kind of grouped them like that, depending on what organization it was, and then the meeting date. So if we could have that information consistent for each one of these groups that we appoint, I think it's going to help not only help those who are applying, but new council members and the like to know what they have here. And because even when I skim to look at some of the meeting times, like Community Relations Council, they actually don't meet on Fridays at noon. That's the luncheon club. They meet in the evening. So some of our information, we want to make sure that is accurate as well. Those are just some notes that I pulled from previous meetings that we wanted to address. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. I agree with you. I remember you mentioning that we wanted to have uniformity in all our descriptions and have it so it comes out the exact same. This is a committee. This is what they do. These are the terms. These are the preferences for experience. And at the end of each one of those, there is no reason that we can't get in there, as you said, when they meet. Again, Business Service Center Appeals Board, page 65 of our agenda today. It consists of 5 members, 4-year terms, has to have 1 business person, 1 attorney, and 3 CPAs. That's all. But when do they meet if there's an appeal? You can say that even if they don't do it because they wait for an appeal to come in, they can say meets on an as-needed basis. But we need something in there so people know what they're getting into. Okay, Ms. Mathis, you got that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Anything else? Ms. Mackey, you want to join in?
I guess Mr. Chair, I feel like we've talked about this for several meetings. And so I'm trying to figure out why this isn't moving and why it hasn't been updated. And so I guess I know we're saying, Ms. Mathis, do you have this? But I would like, is there an expectation of what a deliverable is next, so that on the next agenda, when we get to this item 6B, that we're not repeating this all over again? So is this something that can be done by the next meeting, or do we need to hold off? Do you need extra time? Because I really feel like, Ms. Malinowski, that I've sat through 3 discussions of this same item.
You are right, Ms. Mackey. Ms. Mathis, could you respond to that, please, and let us know when it would be possible to have all this done that we have been commenting on more than once, so that when it gets to us as an item for action, we can actually have reviewed it, vote on it, and say, that's it, publish it.
When would you like me to have it finished?
Well, I don't want you to tell you have to have it finished at the next meeting if you believe it's going to take you 2 weeks to do, but I just want a reasonable, responsible response to it. I mean, if the 15th is good, then that's fine. But if not, then, go for the next meeting if you need a little more time. But we don't want to see it keep coming up here and beating the same horse and not getting anywhere with it. So you just tell us what time you think you'll need. If you want to look at it, and then in the next committee meeting for the 15th, you could put in there, this will be done on this date.
So not the meeting on the 15th, but the following meeting? How about that?
That would
Meeting
be,
after the 15th.
that would be fine. And that would be, that would actually be July 13th, I believe, right?
I believe so, yes.
All right. So let's say right now, by July 15th, we want all that put into place so we can approve it and make any last minute offers if we'd like to.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Mr. Malinowski, just to be clear, you said the 13th, correct?
I did.
Okay.
Is that not a good one?
No, that's the right one. I thought I heard you say 15.
No, 13th, July 13th, 1-3. Okay. We're
Mr.
still,
Chair,
yes.
I'm sorry. I
Go
just,
ahead.
going back to 6A, did we agree that we would have the priority list by the next meeting? Is that a doable timeframe?
Ms. Mathis, can the list of all boards, committees, and commissions vacancies be put in a a ranked order so that if anybody asks, we can say, here's the order. We're not asking for the time. We're just asking for the order.
I can have that by June 15th.
Okay. So by June 15th for that one. Thank you. Okay, Miss Mackey?
Thank you.
All right.
Perfect.
And I'm thinking once we get those out of the way, we'll finally be able to move on with 6C and continue where we left off. I'd like to go down to these items for discussion if no one has an objection on 7A through E. We have a council person's name on 7A, but we don't have anything on the rest of them, and this is not the first time they have come that way. I would like to see the names of the individual or more than one individual council member or members who made these motions. We need them in there. And I'm actually thinking it would not hurt next to the name to put the date that the motion was made at council. So we know if it's been, 6 weeks or 6 months. Because we do have rules relating to that if things aren't acted on in a committee, for example, if they're an action item, it can automatically be moved forward to the council. And while these are still for discussion, I'd like to see some discussion beginning to take place on them.
Mhm.
And the reason for the names, like right now, I can't tell you who did any of them after A, but it may be nice to say, okay, Ms. Mackey, you're the one that made the motion for B. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're trying to achieve here? And without that, we don't even know which council member to go and get or to invite to the meeting and say, we want to discuss your motion. So please, by the next meeting, let's make sure we have the motion makers by every one of these discussion items. And I'd actually like to also see next to it the date that that motion was made at council. Anything else, Ms. Mackey or Ms. Barron?
No, sir. Is a motion to adjourn?
That's fine because we don't have time to get into 6C with the rules, and we're just going to have to get that on another day. We're primarily directing our attention to that. So I've got a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
The second. Ms. Mackey, if you'll call the vote, please.
Malinowski?
Not Mackey, I'm sorry, Ms. Mathis.
That's okay.
Yes.
Barron?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. See y'all
Thank
later.
you.
All right, thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you,
All right.
staff.
Yeah, can you hear me?